Hello and welcome back to Just Got Played. That's us. I'm Eric. I'm here with my babe Tiffany, and always a pleasure to have Jim with us today. That is excellent for all of us. Today we are doing another episode of Gaming Through Themes, and today we chose the theme water. Just to kind of bring you in, if this might be the first video you're watching of the series or of us ever, we're talking about themes in board games, and these are basically the environment of the game that's going on, something that evokes that theme to you. I do have to say that we narrowed this one down a little bit because we took pirates out of this. We feel like we're going to do another episode just about pirates. So this is Water, No Pirates is the name of this episode. So, and I just want to say before we even kick off, I found this one to be pretty hard once we took pirates out. Actually, originally I was like, wow, there's a ton of games. And then it was like, no pirates. I'm like, yeah, no worries. And then it was like, wow, everything was a pirate game, which is kind of weird. On the other hand, I feel like there are a lot of good games out there and I just haven't played them or haven't played them enough to be on my list here. But I know everybody else has some really good options, so we'll roll right into our favorite water games. And I'm going to let Babe go first.
Well, my favorite water game is a game that's one of my favorite games of all time. It is Underwater Cities, and it is a really fun worker placement kind of. It's action selection, I guess. Where you are like using
worker placement, where you put the thing and you got the card, you know.
Yeah, it's a little of everything. But you have a card, you have a deck of cards, have a deck of cards that you've got a hand up, and you are playing on a spot on the board to try to maximize your efficiency and hopefully take the action on the board and an action on your card. You can only do that if you match the color of the card to the board. So you have to kind of strategically play your cards at the right time so that you can always maximize your turns as much as you possibly can. But you are working on an underwater civilization, and you're building up these these little towns, and they connect together, and you try to expand so that you can access more resources and you can have better bonuses. And you try to expand, you try to grow up and out. You have to develop these plants that are producing materials each round, and you want to try to produce these goods as much as you can so that you can use them and to be consumed by your people that are living under the sea, and to be used for other things. So it's just a super fun worker placement underwater game. I think it super evokes the theme because it's very similar to any kind of like terraforming game where you're, like terraforming Mars or whatever, in that you're establishing your civilization. And I like it. And the components are super cute. You get a little dome to put over the cities once they're established and stuff to show that they've been created. And it's just a cute game with a nice table present. So Underwater Cities is my first pick.
And I intentionally let you go first because this is going to be my first pick as well. So maybe JJ's going water themes. But
it has water in the name, so it's kind of safe.
Yes, it's in the name. But yes, this is also my number one. And this kind of also added to my whole thing. That's just to continue the thing that I was talking about before we began here. Because when we talked about Water, No Pirates, I thought this is going to be easy because Underwater Cities. And now I just need one more. So the one more was a bit of a challenge, but this is absolutely one of my favorite games as well. Babe and I, this is one of our crossover. Like, this is super high on both of our lists here. I really like the card play paired with the board play here. I think there's a number of different things here that really add to my enjoyment here. I mean, we have like super deluxe components and stuff, and that's nice, but I mean, some of that's just fancy dancy stuff. But at the same time, there's a lot that I actually do like. I think it's a very good 2-player game because it scales down. One side of the board is for 2 players. So you can play basically the same experience as you would with a full group if you're just playing with 2. And I think that's awesome because it's fairly long. I wouldn't say it's super complicated, but it's complicated enough and it's pretty long. And it's one of those games that basically every time you add a player, you just add another chunk of time to the end of the game. It's not like everybody works together. Now you're all doing your own things, building your own stuff going on. I mean, there is interaction in the form of getting in each other's way, which while I'm off on 15 different tangents and good luck finding your way back here, this is actually something that I really like about this game. I think it has a really good mix of you just took my space. There's still something else I can do. I think it kind of like right in the middle there where the tension is there that somebody's going to take your space and do your thing, but there's always another option for you to do. It might not be the most optimal thing or whatever, but I think most of the time nobody's really doing their most optimal thing. Like everybody just kind of gets shuffled around a little bit and you end up doing something else. That works pretty well. I like that in this game. Plus, you know, it's been mentioned, but pairing up the card with the color space on the board, it works really well. It kind of, it changes the way you think about playing because now you're not just playing, like, don't get me wrong. You can just play an action and you lose the effect of the card. That's fine. And sometimes you do that because the action that you need is just so important for you to do like right now before somebody else does it. But most of the time what the game does is it kind of forces you to think about the game in different ways because you're trying to pair up your card actions with your board actions. So instead of just thinking of an action you want to do, now you're trying to get creative about it. It's like, yeah, I could just go over there and do that action. But what if I used this card to kind of power this other thing up and then do this other thing with a board action. And the next turn, I'm actually going to be set up better than I was to do that action anyway, or next round when it comes up again or something like that. So I really like the headspace that it creates. I think it's a really cool puzzle. If anything, it's a slightly too long. I would say maybe cut a round off the end. Babe would probably say double the length. But
yes.
But yeah, I agree. Underwater Cities is phenomenal. I generally try to intentionally choose different than everybody else, just so everybody can have this like wider range of games to think about when they watch the channel. But I just couldn't. Every other water game is so far removed from Underwater Cities for me that I just couldn't even let it set aside. So that's also my number one is Underwater Cities. I love it. And so does Babe. And we have fun playing it. JJ.
Yes, agreed. Great game. I liked it when I first played it. The only problem is I haven't played it enough.
Oh, that is a problem.
I would agree too. It does stick around, so that's like the only con. It sticks around a little too long. That's my only con. I would say just shorten the rounds because once all the spaces are taken, then it's like you kind of just trying to do something. So yeah, I would agree. It sticks around too long, but yeah, that's neither here nor there. But I too picked underwater kind of game, but not Underwater Cities. It actually has water in its name. It's in Spanish, but it is AquaSphere. So another water-based game. You're actually under the water. You're building your own little biodome. I don't even know what it's called. I forgot what it's called. The technical term for thing under the water, where your little underwater base. You're taking your little scientists and you have like little robots on your board and you're literally trying to build an underwater base. So you have, little octopus that come in, little monsters, water monsters that come in. You got to clear them out. You have to build your base. You have to, get energy and ore and all different kinds of things, to build your base. What was unique about AquaSphere and what really, hooked me as soon as I started playing it is there is kind of like it's not really a rondel for actions, but you have to follow a path and then you can't repeat like the same action in the same round and you can't go back. So you have to follow the actions kind of move around. You have to follow a special path and you can't just pick any action you want. So if you go to the left, once you start, you can't like go to the right all of a sudden and go to another action that's like on the other side of the little action board. That part I really liked. And then also there's like you have to have the little victory point track or whatever. But you can't move forward unless you have enough ore. So I like the fact that you kind of have to like mitigate your resources and you can't just run around the little victory point track or whatever. But yeah, it's a great game. Lots of actions you get to do, upgrading your aqua base or whatever. And, it was kind of in the vein of Underwater Cities where you just, you're building stuff up and somebody can take your actions. And it's right up Jim Jam's alley. Plenty of actions and take that. A lot of the same things going on. If somebody's going to do something before you and you see it about to happen, it's like, yeah. Okay, so I have to like sacrifice and make thoughts. Very puzzly. As Erock said, another puzzly game. You kind of have to. It's all about timing. So these are very much in the same vein. So both games really good, and yeah, I like it a lot. So only problem, it only plays 4 people, which is lame, just like Underwater Seas.
Excellent. I've heard good things, but that is a Feld I have not yet played. So add it to the list.
Yeah, exactly. Add it to the list again. We got to add another one to the list. Good thing I have this one at least this time. So there you go. We can bring it all together.
Excellent. Well, that was 3 people's opinion about 2 games for our first round of selections for water-themed games. So I'll tell you what, since JJ went last the first time, the first shall be last and the last shall be first. Go ahead, sir.
Is that me? Oh, okay. All right. So, went from under the water to something that's just kind of over an ocean. In my second pick, not too crazy. Talked about it plenty of times before, but it is Concordia. That is my second pick. I will say it is not heavily themed on the water, but you do go over water to go to the different cities on the map. I especially like it, and it really makes me think of water because I'm a big cruise junkie, and the game is based in the Mediterranean area, very much Roman Empire themed, and you know, they use all the words that I really can't spell. Mercury something Mediterranean. I always have trouble saying
somebody
that.
smacking.
Something, yeah. But I just really love the game, and every time I play, I'm like, I really need to go on a Mediterranean cruise. This is driving me crazy. Every time I play this game, it makes me think of that because you're just going back and forth across the Mediterranean. So really simple. You're going around to different cities. You're trying to put your little buildings on there so you can get resources when you per the P1, I think it's called, where you just harvest the resources or all the cities where you have a thing in a region, a building in a region. And it's just pretty much hand management the whole time. You're taking resources, you're getting resources and trading them in. That's really pretty much the whole game. And you want to get there to a city and put your building there before somebody else does, because it's very much resource. It's like, I would say like 40% resource and then like 60% money. Because you always run out of money in this game, or unless you got really good timing. But yeah, you always want to have more money because you're going to need it. But what's great about the game is it is hand management. So you don't have a deck. You just have a handful of cards. And it's one of those games where you get cards in your hand, you play the card. And then when you're out of cards in your hand, you get them all back. I would say the Salt expansion and the expansion that has the extra player powers on there. Definitely want to get those because I would say one time, I don't even, you can do 2 times with just the base game and you pretty much fall asleep. I would say it's very simple compared to the first games that we picked. Very much an introductory game. Either one of the first games we picked, like Erock said, is more intermediate to expert. I wouldn't even want to explain the rules, honestly, for those. But Concordia, very simple, very much a beginner game. Scales up to 5-6 people, I think. Definitely 5. I can't remember if there was a 6-player expansion or not. But very much a beginner game, so it gets Jim Jam's stamp of approval. I've only played on the 3-player map. Every other time has been 5 or 6 players. Like the 3-player map as well. Great game for scalability. Great game for introductory game. So yeah, Concordia, right? Just kind of go over the water. It's like half the map, but whatever. It counts.
I love Concordia. Quite frankly, I didn't think about it for this list. Now, I want to be perfectly clear. I am in no way disqualifying it because mine is at least as suspect as far as...
It doesn't matter. The judges already said it. Wait, you say it again. Yeah, they doubled up and said it counts. So
I'm just saying I never even considered that for this list because I love it. That's a great game. I love Concordia. So I know Babe likes it a lot too. We play that fairly often for us. So awesome.
Concordia. I've only played 2 out of, I don't even know how many of the maps there are now. Like there's another expansion that just came out. So I need to get to all of them and eventually just play it all. But yeah,
play it all.
Concordia.
Add them all to the list.
Why is there no legacy for this? Whoever makes this game needs to make a legacy for you.
No, that's, yep. You should get a cut of the profits when that releases 8 months from now. So there you go.
I hope so.
Indeed. Okay. Well, that's one great game in round 2. Babe, what do you have for your second favorite water-themed game?
So this is a game that I haven't played in years, and I only played it one time when I did play it, or I played it one night. I might have played it a couple of times that night, but I remember playing it and feeling like I was actually there, and this water was surrounding me and getting closer and closer. And I desperately needed to work with my fellows to get the things off of the island and escape before the water swallowed us completely. And that, if you haven't figured it out, is underwater. No, is oh my gosh, not Underwater Cities. That was the first
Forbidden
one.
Island.
Forbidden Island. So on Forbidden Island, you are you are going around this island and you're trying to collect these different artifacts. And you need to collect them and get off the island, but the island is sinking around you. The water is rising, and different parts of the island are randomly cut off from you, making your escape path more difficult. There are asymmetric player powers, so different people have different abilities, and they can do different things to get around or have different abilities. But it's a lot of fun. I'd say it's also a pretty good entry game. It's not super complicated. It doesn't take a long time to play, but it is a lot of fun and suspenseful, and encourages you to work together and try to come together to achieve your goals. So it's a lot of fun for, I think, a good, hour's worth of play. So play Forbidden Island and see if you can escape with all the treasures before you die a really watery death.
Indeed, yes. That's a good little game. I agree. It's not too taxing. It's not too complicated. It's kind of a good intro game to introduce people to co-ops in kind of a modern game setting. All the different characters they do different stuff. Like the pilot, you can move around the island, take people around the island or whatever, things like that. Nice little game, and it comes in a tin. That's right, in a tin. Okay, so. Moving on to my second choice for this. I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent before I get there. So, again, I think a lot of this just has to do with my own inexperience in this particular theme. And because I think there's a lot of really good games in this space. They're just ones that I haven't played or only played once, and I don't feel qualified to put them like on my favorite list and stuff. For instance, I hear very good things about Atlantis Rising. It's still in shrink on our shelves. I really liked Endeavor the one time I played it. Things like that. I just feel like I'm not really that qualified. And then there's other things like Concordia that I just didn't even consider for the list. So there's a lot of good games in this water space that are still out there. So if this is something that appeals to you, there are other things than the ones that we're talking about here, because I don't know what I'm talking about. So going to my second choice, then, one of my actual choice is going to be Archipelago. This is a pretty old game. I think it's 2011. It's Christoph Bollinger. It is a game. It's kind of a 3X game as opposed to a 4X game, because there's not really a whole lot of like army kind of extermination stuff going on. It's kind of a weird game. So out of all the games we talked about, this one is by far the most complicated. And it's a little bit obtuse. This game is not for everybody, okay? But I love it. You start on a boat on a hex that's just water, and on your turn you sail somewhere, and you're gonna whichever direction you want to go, that's where you go. And then you start finding these an island that you kind of connect together, or different islands, because you reveal it like one hex at a time by choosing hexes. So you're building it as you go. So you could end up I could go this way, and I go this way and find land, and you could go this way and find land. And then either because of the way we build it, they're just separate islands, or because of the way we build it, they could end up connecting in the background so that it's all one piece of land. And you kind of go out and find these islands or island or whatnot. And it's got different things, like the different spots they might make pineapple grows there, or there's a good spot to farm beef, or stuff like that. So then it kind of turns into a bit of a worker placement game, kinda. And then you can do things like, harvest the stuff on the land and do things like that. And then there's also there's an internal market that happens in the place where you are. And then there's also an external market. So to send things back to Europe, kind of a thing. So you have these two different markets going on with the products that you're making on the board. And they're also like demands. Like the people are going to demand things. And if you don't make them happy, they get angry. And kind of same thing. Like Europe's going to demand stuff. We want fish now. And if you don't collectively pull your stuff together and satisfy these either local or foreign demands, then the discontent rises. And in the end, it took me a while to get here because this is such a like phrase that everybody hates, but it is technically a semi-co-op game because you're all trying to keep this whole thing going by satisfying the people and making sure the unrest doesn't get too high and all this other stuff. Because if the unrest gets too high, then there's a revolution and everybody loses. Unless you're the one person that sides with them, then you win, kind of a thing. But I try not to even play with that because the game is so hard and obtuse and complicated. It just kind of like gets in the way of everything is worrying about this trader. It's hard enough just making this whole thing go. And, while we're at it, I'm going to tell you everything I don't like about the game, basically. But there's a couple other things that really annoy me about this game. So, like, if this at all interests you, I encourage you to watch a couple of videos or something because it is really cool and fun. But everybody's given a secret end game condition. Okay. And this game is complicated and it's long. And you're not going to remember that secret endgame condition. You kind of need to play this a few times before you realize, like, almost every game I've ever played, somebody goes, uh-oh, something happened 2 turns ago. And it's like, man, kind of a thing because everybody's in charge of one of the endgame conditions. And new players are so wrapped up in what's going on in this game and getting their head wrapped around how to do all these different things that are going on. It totally passes them by. So then you end up playing turns past when the game would have ended. Now, like, the scoring's corrupted and all that, so I'm talking about all these, like, I hardly even describe the game at all. Like, I'm just like, this is so ingrained into my like personal history and backstory, this one game, and how I absolutely love this thing. And it's kind of flawed, but it's beautiful and it's annoying. You know what I'm saying? So this is the one I settled on for my second favorite water game. Excellent.
Wait, that was your favorite?
Right?
That was your favorite?
It's hard to tell that he liked it.
Yeah. It's something indeed. Okay, so with all of that shebang, we're going to talk about what you, the people, chose for your favorite water games. And the people's first choice, in fact, I think the last time we looked, it was a tie. It was a tie between 2 things, one of which has already been mentioned. So, babe, congratulations, you agree with the people. The people also believe that Forbidden Island is one of the 2 best water games. Anything more you'd like to add?
I feel like I did a pretty good job before.
Okay, excellent.
You're supposed to say the people have spoken.
The people have spoken.
The people have spoken. Exactly.
Oh.
And the people's second choice is Survive, Escape from Atlantis. JJ, would you like to take over?
I played this once, so sure, I'll take over.
I also played this one, so I'll be there to like help you out here.
So it's co-op, I think, or something.
Competitive.
No. Competitive.
I'm just gonna
say
everything
that word. Yeah, competitive. I don't even know why I said that other words. Competitive. So that's why I liked it when I played it the one time. I do remember that. Yeah, definitely competitive. I remember that. Not the other one. So basically, it's tile flipping, but literally Atlantis is there and it's sinking, and you want to get off the island as quickly as possible. And you want to do that by kicking people like a 300 style out of your way to get to the boat, but then you don't want to get eaten by a shark or something. I remember there's like a shark and something else trying to get you. So they're trying to send that sea monster towards you if you got to the boat first. And then if you get the most people of your color out off the island before it falls, and like every turn there's like more tiles getting flipped and going underwater, and there's like a volcano or something, or that might be the other game. I just remember I didn't like it because everybody was kicking me off right when I get to the boat. They saw me come in and they would just kick me, and then I'd have like one person, and I probably got like 3 people out of I think 10 in your color, whatever it is, out. And yeah, that sucked. But I liked it, even though I was down in the bottom for the amount of people that I got off. It was very panicky. It was great because everybody had to pay attention because you would just have your tile flipped before. That part was a little rough because I didn't know when the tiles were flipping my first time. I was like, okay, I'm going to get here. And then all of a sudden I get there and I'm underwater and sinking. It was like, nobody can swim. I'm like, what? So yeah, it's great. Very, very panicky. So if you like a high tension game and like a game that everybody's going to pay attention to, no thinky going on really pretty much because you have to get your people off before and then avoid the shark and all this other stuff. I think there were some cards in there where it let you move stuff around or something like that. Don't really remember. I know there's a way to move your people and move the boats and move the monsters. Something happened with that. But yeah, so if you like disaster, I don't even know what else. It's water, but yeah, but disaster. You got to get out of there as quickly as possible. So disaster water game. If you like that kind of thing, then yeah, that game is for you. I forgot what it was called. Atlantis, Fall of Atlantis.
I absolutely love the cinematic description. That was very apt for what actually happens in the game. Just to sum up just a tiny little bit, basically you have a group of meeples and they all have numbers written on their bottoms. So it's like 1 through 6 or whatever. And the point is to try to get the most points of meeples off the sinking island.
Yeah, I wasn't.
Whoever ends up with. So you got to kind of remember, you only look at them the one time when you put them all down on the island. Then you got to remember where all your people are. And then they start moving all over the place and they get eaten up and they get drowned and all kinds of stuff. And you're trying to move yours. You can do.
If you manage to get your high numbers out of the boat, that is a miracle. If you get your high number out, I think you should just win. Get it on the boat and do it. It's automatically because at that point it's like you're gonna win the game. Because I don't even know how you would even. Whatever. If you manage to do that, you're a genius. Go ahead.
This is another one of those that's on my list of I probably should have chosen this, but it's been so long since I played. I just didn't feel like it was, like I said, I just like this whole category. I'm like, there's underwater cities, and then a whole bunch of stuff I haven't played in forever or haven't played at all. So. Again, lots of really good options. I think all of the games that were mentioned here by us, by the people, they are all very good water-themed games. To follow this up at some point, as I said, we are going to do a pirate-themed theme, I guess. We're going to do a pirate-themed theme for one of our videos. And
are we?
We are, yes. And that'll be coming up soon. So, again, we are Just Got Played. I am Eric. I'm here with my babe, Tiff, and JJ is here to our very great pleasure. If you like what you see, give us a thumb. Come on and subscribe. You can see all of our content. Some of it is more enjoyable, I guess, than this. Some less. I guess, why don't you tell us? And how can you tell us?
What?
There's some links at the bottom. You come and see us on our Discord.
What?
You tell us
it's all great. What do you mean?
Tell us how we suck. Tell us everything. Tell us why we're wrong. Tell us why you have the ultimate water-themed game.
Come to the Discord.
Thank you for joining us. Anyone? Finish it up? Babe?
Come to the Discord.
Come to the Discord.
Come to the Discord.
Come to the Discord.
The people have spoken. Thanks for coming. See you next time.
Bye.